I'm talking to Barbara Twachtman, the director of Park Lake Presbyterian Church's Child Care Center. How are you doing? How's Barbara doing? How are the Twachtmans doing? How are things going?
We're doing okay. I've shared this with you that my husband has an autoimmune deficiency, and so he's one of those at high risk. So we're trying everything we can to make sure that he is safe. And so our daughter goes and gets our groceries, and we try not to go out too much. And if we have to, we do the masks and the spray, and we have all the things. So we're doing okay.
How are things going with the Child Care Center? Do you mind just kind of describing the status?
The staff are doing well. I've been trying to keep up with them with phone calls and emails and texts, and so they seem to be doing well. Some are struggling, just like everybody else. Some are like single moms that are struggling a little bit with the reduced paycheck, and others have other support, so they're not struggling as much. But, all of that's happening just like everybody else. And I'm trying to give them little tasks to do that will keep them busy, like we're reading stories, putting them on YouTube and reading stories to the children, or singing songs, or just doing a little video and saying hello to the children. So today I just wrote them an email and asked them to phone all the children in their class. Wow. Either phone them or send them something in the mail, just to make a connection, because I think that connection is going to be what really helps the parents and the children.
How about your communication with the parents?
Along with emails, which some of them will email me frequently and some won't. But I'm trying to do a connection through a newsletter each week, where I just do a little blurb. Hey, hope everybody's doing well, caring for yourself, caring for your children. And then I put these video links into the newsletter so that the children can see Miss Mari reading a story to them or singing a song to them. And then I've also been putting sites where they can go. One I did 25 virtual field trips that they can go on. One is like just fun activities that you can do when you're inside. How to make Play-Doh, things like that, so that they have some extra little things. And now people can go on the internet and find that, but this is from us. So it just gives it another touch. Yeah. So I've been doing that every week so that they have that connection point from me.
Now, are you getting feedback from parents? Are they reaching out to you? See how?
Yeah, they really like it. They say their children are really liking seeing their teachers and watching the videos over and over. And so that's a good thing.
What kind of issues or things are you hearing through the child care network that you're a part of? What are directors and centers talking about and thinking about at this time?
So now the question is, okay, how long do we keep closed? What are we going to do when we come back? How are we going to make things safe? How are we going to feel good about what we're going to do when we finally get back in? So all of these questions are coming up. I've been doing a lot of webinars about this, and so just kind of keeping in touch with what everybody's saying out there about how it would work. And there's no time frames yet. Nobody's given us a time frame, but what if and how.
When you do come back, what will be different? How will things look different? What will be important at that point?
One of the things that's really that we've been grappling with was how do you have a school where you are only allowed to have 10 in a classroom, including the teachers? And so would we continue to try to do that if it still looks like we're not yet over this whole thing, that they're talking about waves, and they're talking about, if we go back too soon, that it'll all start coming back. So what do we do in the midst of it to make sure that whatever we're doing, make sure we don't add to that problem, right, but that we're, still able to do what we need to do, which is care for, children, because that's important, but also trying to be responsible in the middle of it? That's such a hard question to answer, because everybody's all over the board about what that means.
Well, have there been any new insights or anything that have come to you during this time?
Well, one thing that I thought early on, and I don't know, negative or positive, but it's sort of a negative a little bit, but is that we've been told that we're so essential. We're essential business. And yet I want to say, well, if we're so essential and you think value childcare, I want to see it valued during the times where it's not an emergency. And that's been a question. I just read an article today about it on the news feed that I get on my phone. And what are we telling childcares when we say you're such an essential part of our world, and yet we cut the funding every time you turn around, and we can't pay our employees the wage that they should have, for the essential job they're doing. So that's a big thing that's being talked about all over. And I mean, our parents value us, but it's an interesting thing to see on Facebook and see in different things how the parents are like, oh my goodness, we love our teachers. They should be making a lot more money.
I know that you're a person of faith yourself and have been for a long, long time. How have you been experiencing this time and everything in terms of your own faith life and what that means to you?
I think when I took this job, it was different for me than my other job. And because I had to get up a little bit earlier, get home a little bit later, it really kind of caused my life to change in terms of more tired because I was working longer hours, things like that, which sort of ended up pushing my my time with God in the mornings, where I would always get up and try to have some time. I never got up at 6 o'clock in the morning to get to someplace by 7 or 5:30 to get to 7. I was always able to get to work at 8:30. So it just pushed that back, and it was like, oh, I got to get back to my devotions, and I miss that connection with God, and even so it really, when this happened, it was like that came to fruition and said, okay, sit down. You've got plenty of time now. Let's start back and doing your devotions, doing your prayer time. And I realized, oh my goodness, how much I missed that being ability just to sit and just to be quiet and let God just speak to me, just pour, his love over me. And so it's like, Barb, okay, you can't let things push that out, because that is your lifeline. That's my lifeline, having that connection to God each day. And when I do that, it affects other things in my life. And when I don't do that, I miss it. I've been a Christian for a very long time, and I have had wonderful times where I've just done that so much that it's just, God and I are like walking together all the time. And just in this last season, it's like I've been in the wilderness. Right. And so this time has said, hey, you're not in the wilderness anymore. Get out of the wilderness. Start really trusting the Lord. Walk out of that, Yeah. So, wilderness before. I mean, you probably have too. There have been times in my life I can go back and look and say, oh yeah, I remember that time. And God got us through that. And that's the beauty of being able to look back in your life and see how God is, if you reflect on that, you realize God did provide in that time, even though it was a really dark time in your life. God did provide, and you came through it. And I feel that same way now. It's like, this is a dark time, but God's going to bring us through it.
We're grateful for your being at Park Lake and at a child care center during this time.
Hang in there, everybody. Your spray and your mask and your gloves, and do what you need to do. You're welcome.